Hey my friends, this is Daniel Alley, and today I want to talk with you about 7 signs that your parents are holding you back. Look, over the years I've received many emails of so many people telling me that they want to live their dreams, they want to travel, they want to get into a business, they want to do so many different things, but their parents are keeping them from doing it. And in this video, I want to give you 7 clear indicators that you need to watch out for in order to know whether or not your parents are holding you back and stopping you from living your ultimate dreams. So please listen up. The first sign that your parents are holding you back is that they're overprotective. What I'm basically saying is that your parents stop you from seeing the outside world because they want you to be in the inside world. Basically, they don't want you to know anything about what is going on within the evils of this world. And so what they try to do is they tell you, do not hang out with certain people, do not go certain places, do not do certain things, and they shelter you from harm. They put on this protective shell in order to keep you from the destruction of the world. So when this usually happens, there's only 2 things you can do. First, you listen to everything they say and you accept it, or you rebel against everything they said and you reject it. Now obviously, most people are going to rebel. They're not going to listen to their parents because they want to go out there and see for themselves. They want to explore. They're going to think, you know what? My parents are too protective. My parents always shelter me. My parents never let me do what I always want to do. All I'm saying is that if you grew up in a household where you've always been protected, your human nature is going to want to venture out. You're going to want to see the world. Or you can fall into fear. And that's what happens to a lot of people too, right? They sit back and they listen to their parents and they accept everything they say without thinking for themselves. You know, they might say, don't date this type of person. Don't follow these type of politics. Don't believe in this type of religion. And they're going to tell you more of the things you shouldn't do instead of the things that you should do. And so you really need to listen with a discerning mind and understand where your parents are coming from. Because many times they're coming from a place of fear. They're coming from a place where they lack the understanding of how the world is working and where it's actually going. So what I want you to do is to ask yourself, are my parents holding me back by being too protective? Are they overbearing with the way that they're sheltering me? Are they keeping me from living up to my highest purpose because of all the things they're telling me not to do? If so, then your parents might be holding you back and it's time for you to do something different than what they expect. Now the second sign that your parents are holding you back is that you're too privileged. Look, there's a lot of people who have their parents pay for everything. They don't have to pay rent. They don't have to buy their car. They don't even have to build their credit or save money because their parents already do it for them. And if you're someone who's already inherited good parents who have provided for you, what you need to do is to consider that not every parent is like this in this world. Because the first thing that a privileged child will believe is that everyone has it as easy as they do. Unless their parents taught them otherwise, they're going to go out into the world with that deep belief that everyone is going to give it to them. Everyone is going to hand them success. But that is far from the truth. Look, my friends, I want to let you know that there's a lot of people who grew up with nothing. There's a lot of people who didn't even have parents to begin with. And so, if you're someone that grew up in a privileged mindset, you've got to be able to relinquish that frame of mind in order to understand how the world actually works. I was talking to a young man the other day and he was telling me that he's a trust fund kid, which basically means that he has millions of dollars that his parents are going to give to him. And if they happen to die, he's going to inherit a fortune. Now, what I want you to understand is that there's a lot of people who will inherit money. There's a lot of people who have money on the side that's coming along their way. And if you're someone who feels like you are going to get money that you don't deserve, then you need to do something so that you can go out there and serve. That's right, if you're getting money from your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, whomever, you need to understand that this inheritance is not to be messed around with. Now obviously, the majority of people who are watching this video don't have that inheritance. They don't have that special privilege. But maybe you have smaller privileges. Maybe your parents pay for your gas. Maybe they cover your insurance. Maybe they're doing something for you that someone else in your position, in your age group, would never ever get from their parents. Whether it's big or small, you have to know what it means so that you can help society by helping them and giving them what they need. The last thing I want to tell you about being a privileged child is that if you feel like your parents are giving you too much, be willing to reject it. Tell them, you know what, I can take care of myself. I don't need the extra gas money. I don't need the extra food. I'm gonna grow up on my own and become the man I need to be, or the woman that I can be to grow up and help society. The third sign that your parents are holding you back are through traditions. Now, I talked about this many times before, but I truly believe that there's a lot of people that are being held back because of what their parents believe. They might have a certain religion, a certain tradition, a certain way of thinking that they don't want you to deviate from because they feel that if you think differently than they do, you will become corrupted unlike the people that they are. And so sometimes this leads to hypocrisy, because whenever you think that your group is always better than other groups, then you're going to be stuck in a box, especially if you don't know what those other groups represent. That's what happens to most people. They buy into the beliefs of their parents just because their parents tell them that it's right. And so what you need to do is you need to venture out on your own. You need to ask the question, why? Why are my parents telling me to avoid certain people? Why are they telling me to celebrate certain holidays and to believe in certain things that I don't really agree with? You see, my friends, if you accept only what your parents have taught you, then you're never going to be able to learn what else is out there in the world. And so you need to free yourself if you ever want to be yourself. And this means that you have to get rid of that stinking thinking and believing that your parents' way is the only way or the best way. You see, there's so many ways to perceive the world. It's not only what they say, it's not only what their traditions are. It's about what you feel is right. It's about where you know God is trying to take you. And so if you feel deep inside that their mindset and their belief system is holding you back, then you have to be willing to look into different directions. You have to be willing to ask questions. You have to be willing to let go of that religion, those traditions, and those ways of thinking. So what kind of traditions do you hold? Are your parents forcing you to embrace the customs, the religions, the traditions, the cultures, the dance, the music, the food? Are they forcing you to fit into this box, this mold that they always wanted you to be a part of? Or are you thinking for yourself and determining whether or not it's right? Now, I'm not saying get rid of everything they taught you. There's a lot of things that I've learned from my parents that I love. There's a lot of things in my culture and my music and my food that I embrace every single day. But there's certain things that I had to get rid of. You see, my ancestors were slaved. They were indoctrinated to believe that they were supposed to be poor for the rest of their life. And so I determined that I was not going to take that part of my ancestry moving forward. I knew that I had to relinquish that frame of mind if I wanted to live up to my full potential. And so that's what you have to do, my friends. You have to be willing to let go of religion, tradition, and other beliefs that's holding you back and keeping you from becoming the best version of yourself. Now, the fourth sign that your parents are holding you back is criticism. Maybe you're around parents that love you so much that they feel they have to nitpick all the time. They're like those helicopter parents watching over every single decision that you make, every single breath that you take, every single hand that you shake. And if you feel like your parents are watching you in a microscope, then you need to leave their laboratory. You have to be willing to learn that their criticism, their complaining, and even their condemnation has nothing to do with the kind of person that you know you need to be. Look, my friends, there's a lot of parents who have the right intentions, but many times they will lead you in the wrong directions. Because what they're going to do is they're going to project their fears onto your life. They're going to believe that certain things cannot happen with you and for you just because it can happen to them or people they know. And so they're going to try to hold you back by telling you it's impossible. You can't do it. I would never do that if I were you. They're going to say things like this because they are afraid of you becoming who God called you to be. Now, they don't know who God called you to be because that vision was given to you. And sometimes you can't always share that vision with your parents because they simply won't understand. They're not going to be able to see that because they're not a part of it. And so sometimes you have to walk away from your parents. You have to understand that when they're criticizing you, they're not always right. They're not always perfect. They don't know exactly where you're going in life. So be aware and be prepared. Because if your parents are always nitpicking, if they're always harassing you, if they're always criticizing you on the little things that you do, you gotta walk away and be willing to become who you are. Remember, in order to free yourself, you have to be yourself. But in order to be yourself, you have to free yourself from that bondage of your parents looking over you and watching every single thing that you do in your life. The fifth sign that your parents are holding you back is through hypocrisy. There are many times where parents will tell you what not to do, but they've been doing it themselves. They'll tell you not to have sex before marriage, but they had you out of wedlock. They'll tell you not to smoke cigarettes, but they're smoking one as they're telling you not to do it. They might tell you not to eat certain foods, but you see them eating it all the time. And so if you see hypocrisy in your family and your parents, you have to understand what that means. Not only are your parents living a contradictory life, but they're showing you that it's okay to do the same. While they're telling you not to do it, you see them doing it themselves. And it makes you think, well, if they can do it, then I can probably do it too. If they're telling me to avoid these things, but they're partaking in it, then that means that I could probably get away with it too. And that's the wrong way to live life. You see, you have to understand that your parents might be hypocrites. It's not an easy thing to accept. It's not easy to say, oh, my mom, yeah, she tells me to do certain things, but she does the complete opposite. Or my dad tells me not to hang out with these types of people, but he hangs out with them all the time. In other words, if your parents are guiding you to become the person you're not supposed to be, then you need to find other parents who can help you reach your destiny. All I'm saying is that if your parents are not going to help you, they're only going to hurt you. Find other people that you can emulate, who can mentor you, who can coach you, who can lead you into a better direction. Because if you do so, then it will lead you to ultimate perfection. The sixth sign that your parents are holding you back are through expectations. Now, many times your parents expect you to be who they want you to be. Now, that expectation breaks usually when you reach your teenage years. Your parents know at some point that you have developed your own way of thinking. But many times, parents do not let this go. It carries on to your 20s and even onto your 30s and much longer than that. And so if you find that your parents have certain expectations of who they want you to be, then they're going to hold you back for the rest of your life. Because you're never going to fit into their expectations unless their expectations are right for your life. Because how often would that happen, right? How often will you see that your parents have the same vision that you have for your life? Very unlikely. And so what you need to do is to ask your parents to back off. Now, naturally, they'll do this in your teenage years. They'll do it in your early 20s. But if you find your parents riding on your coattails in your late 20s and in your 30s, you gotta ask them to back off. You gotta ask them to give you some space so you can live your life. All you need to do is to figure out where you are right now and where you need to go. And it all starts by giving up the parental control. And the seventh and final way that your parents may be holding you back is through support. Now, this usually happens in traditional families, where the parent expects you to fully take care of them. Maybe you just got started in your working career. Maybe you're already established. Maybe you haven't even gotten that far yet, and your parents are already begging you to buy them a car or to pay off their house. If you know your parents are asking you for unreasonable things, then you definitely have to let them know. Because many times your parents are expecting you to be successful. They're expecting you to buy them dinner. They're expecting you to slide them a few $1,000s. But sometimes you cannot do that because you need that money for yourself. Maybe you're growing a family. Maybe you're investing in yourself. Maybe you're saving up for a house. And you're never going to be able to do that if you're sending money over to a foreign country to help your parents. You're never going to be able to do that if you're always paying for your parents' medical bills. You're never going to be able to do that if you're only allowing your parents to make decisions on behalf of your life. So what do you do when your parents are always draining your time, your energy, your money? What do you do when they're always trying to tell you about the family gossip and ask you to interfere with their lives? What you need to do is to take a step back. You need to reevaluate yourself and make sure to create distance from all that drama. So what happens if you don't do this? They're going to keep on taking your time. They're going to keep on taking your money. They're going to keep on stealing your energy, and you're going to wonder where it all went. And later on when you grow up, you're going to justify and say to yourself it was the right thing to do. But that's what happens to most people who are fools. They waste every single resource they have to help their parents, and their parents hold them back from achieving their ultimate success. So there you go, my friends. I just shared with you 7 signs that your parents are holding you back. If you relate to anything I shared in this video, make sure to type yes in the comment section below. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel and share this video with any of your siblings so they can understand exactly what you're going through too. My friends, this is Daniel Ali. I look forward to your success, I look forward to your prosperity, and I look forward to watching you become a better member in your family. I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.